find a way.
Josh, I have been looking forward to talking to you. I think I'm drawn to people who, when I meet them, I can tell they are doing the very thing they were born to do. And I got that impression the first time I met you.
Well, I appreciate that, and what I'm doing has been a dream. Where I'm at right now is a mountaintop for me. I couldn't ask for anything else.
Yeah. I went to several games last year, and I enjoyed watching you coach. I just enjoyed the whole environment. It's been several years since I watched high school football, and I really enjoyed it. But man, it's like when I talk to you, you're so passionate about what you're doing, and there's such a why to it that's beyond football that I really wanna hear more about today. But if we go back to the young Josh Holt, like, was there a time where you can remember that you knew that this is when you fell in love with the game of football?
Yeah, well, it was really until high school. I was in the spring of my senior year, and that whole powder puff game kind of rolled around, and I got asked to coach one of those teams. So I did it. We practiced and all that, and we got to go into the castle and play the game at night. And that's when it hit me. I was like, oh wow, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I went on that path to be a teacher and a coach, and I did a lot on the Virginia side, and I finally got to come back to Tennessee and be home. Like I said just a few minutes ago, the mountaintop. But yeah, just seeing things in the castle and the history there, and what Tennessee High football means to Bristol. It means the world to me to get to do what I get to do, and I think I realized that a long time ago when I was a player, and then got to do that little bit of coaching. Yeah.
What did it feel? Do you remember back to the high school Josh, and like what was it about the game that?
I could really probably go back even further as a kid at Fairmount. When you're little and you get to go to the varsity games for free if you wore your jersey, and I can remember this when the track was still around the field over there. I can remember hanging onto the fence with my hands in the chain link and just watching. I had an uncle out there playing and hanging on to everything that was said and how they did stuff, and I'd try to emulate that at practice or in the games. But that's my earliest memory, and for a long time I didn't think there was anything else other than Tennessee High football. So it's a family. We've all came through Tennessee High, and it really means everything to me when it comes to football.
Yeah. We've lost some of that in culture today, like that. There's so many options, and I think we've lost that. Man, I don't know. It's almost like a sacred space for a city is a Friday night.
It is, and there's, like you said, there's just other things to do, and it's not meant for everybody. Football's tough. I mean, it's hard. It smells bad. It hurts. It's sweaty. It's hard. Not a lot of people like that right now. We're lucky to have the kids that we have and the parents that we have. They support in everything we do, but it's really tough right now trying to get kids to do that because there's so many options in the summer. Travel balls for whatever sport it may be, or they're all options. All we really have to offer a lot of times in the off season is the weight room and a hard time. That's what we offer when it comes to football, and we're on you about your grades all the time, that kind of stuff. But travel ball, not putting it down. I'm just saying it's an option, and a lot of people would rather do that than play football.
Yeah, I played every sport when I was little, man. Like all of them. If I wasn't playing for the school, I was playing in the backyard.
Yep.
Right. And I got something from every sport. Like when I look back at life, still today, like I just picked up tennis. Tennis gives me something. It teaches me something that football or soccer didn't. But man, I try to explain to people, football's different.
Oh yeah.
Like football taught me things I don't think I would have learned. I don't think I would have learned it anywhere else when I was a kid.
I agree with that, and I don't know if you've heard it, but Tom Brady's Hall of Fame acceptance speech, and that's exactly what he started. He said, football's hard. He says everybody needs to do it just for all that, everybody else is still in bed. You're at 2-a-days. You're working in the weight room. Everybody else is at the pool. And there's something to that discipline. And I think a lot of people confuse what discipline really means. Discipline's doing the stuff that sucks right now for a better end, and a lot of people want that instant gratification. That's where discipline kind of slips away. I think a lot of people look at discipline as you're in trouble. This is your punishment. But discipline really isn't that way. It's waking up, doing the things that you have to do right now that may not be fun or comfortable, just to be comfortable later on.
Are you finding that more difficult for kids to buy into in 2025 than maybe a few years ago?
When I first started, compared to that, or when I first started coaching, yeah. You know, I coached in Virginia at smaller schools for a while. I mean, it was a 1A school, and after my first period class, I'd have to sweep up mud out of the floor because they went and fed the cows and stuff before they come to school. The discipline was different there, and the expectations, the work ethic was different there. But it was bred into them. It was how they go. And I've kind of got this saying, and I've kind of come up with it over time, and it's not as bad as it sounds, but we can't beat home out of kids. No matter how hard we try, we can't beat home out of kids. As a coach and as a leader, all we can do is model, you know, what it's supposed to be like. And they have to consciously choose to be like us or to be like home. Now, I'm not saying every home is a bad situation. I'm just saying we see a lot of situations, no matter how hard we try, we can't beat home out of them. And I don't mean that physically or aggressively or bad, but we notice that a lot. And the kids that actually do pay attention to what we do, and they pay attention to every little thing we do, and they start to model us, things get a little bit different for them. Because that's the main goal of our coaching staff, is we're going to model and create future leaders of Bristol. That's my goal. That's our mindset. That's everything that we do. And we've come to realize that that's the best way to get kids out of a bad home situation.
Yeah, man, I want to talk more about how you're doing that, because that's a heavy lift.
It is.
Like coaching has gotten so much more difficult, because you're not only teaching the game, but there's these other factors that I feel like we have to overcome now. I don't know that we had to overcome when I first started coaching 30 years ago. Like, it's just changed, man.
It really has.
So that home, it's not always like abusive situations, but there's a lot of things at home that aren't healthy, even for stable families, like the entertainment options, the attraction of sitting on the couch and playing a video game or watching Netflix.
Yeah, it's not all bad. It's just the small things, just like you said. Do they take the trash out? It's little things like that. It's those little tasks, those little effort things that they're responsible for. It's an accountability issue a lot of times. I'm a parent, and I'd rather mow my own yard, but at the same time, I got 2 boys that are more than capable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's, you got to hold them accountable at some point. If they're not being held accountable at home, it's hard to get them to be held accountable in the locker room. I'm not putting any parents down when I say that. We have to hold them super accountable. If you walk into our locker room right now, every single locker looks the same.
Yeah.
This is hung right here. The helmets are right here. There's no trash in the floor. They take care of that locker room. That we're holding them accountable. The bathrooms are clean. There's nothing. I mean, that's how we do it, and that's part of the whole discipline mindset. Take care of it now, so we don't have to pay for it later.
So parenting is tough with the culture, right? Like there's expectations for parents now that are just different. Like, I think there's this expectation for parents to protect kids and to entertain kids and to like do things for them. Like, I'm amazed at all the things that parents do for kids, right? Like, it's crazy. It's a lot of work for a parent. It really is, yeah. And then that culture and those expectations come into the football locker room.
They really do. You know, there's so many things that all parents see every single day on social media. Oh, I'd love to do that for my kid. And the kids see it and they ask for it, and parents don't want to say no. You know, a lot of times it's hard for a parent to say no, and it's hard for a coach to say no sometimes, but you've got to really kind of build those boundaries and be able to do it. And all that stuff. And again, this is one of our, discipline's one of our cultural pillars. And that second one is simplicity. Live a simple life. You can be way more disciplined with a simple life. If you've got, and we do that in how we dress. We don't allow armbands. We've got to be as simple as possible. And our cultural pillars are discipline, simplicity, and consistency. And we've got a triangle kind of built that show, and we solve all our problems that way. If we've got a problem with schematically, we go back to those pillars and we say, okay, why isn't this working? Are we not disciplined enough with it? Are we too complicated? Are we not consistent enough in practice? And if you pay attention to all of those, you can't have 2 of them without the other. You have to have all 3 in order to be successful. That's our triangle of success. You've got them built up here, and discipline and simplicity are connected by consistency. And then simplicity and consistency they're connected by discipline. You get the kind of idea they have to all be there. And it's that way across the board in everything you do. There's a quote out there, and I can't remember who said it, but we get all these flyers from college, and it says, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're not disciplined and simple and consistent at home, you're going to have a hard time being disciplined, simple, and consistent in your job, at school, and football, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. I hear all kinds of every organization has core values. Very few of them, it's really a part of what they do every day. And I can tell these are not just words you put up in the locker room. Mm-hmm. Where did those three come from?
It's just an accumulation of everything I've seen. You know, I've been a teacher, I've been a coach, I've been in the military, and I've been super fortunate to be around great leaders, and I've been super fortunate to be around really bad leaders. And I really feel like you learn a lot from the really good ones, but you learn so much more from the really, really bad ones. Not putting anybody down again, but the bad ones are not disciplined in what they do. They're too complicated in what they do, and they don't consistently do the same things. The really good ones are disciplined. They take care of business when it needs to be taken care of, so there's no back end. They're very simple in what they do, so they can communicate, and they're very consistent. They're reliable. They're accountable.
Yeah. It applies. It doesn't just apply to football, which I'm sure that's why you chose those three.
It's about more than football, you know? I mean, it's about so much more than football. We don't have D1 talent right now at Tennessee High when it comes to football. You know, we've got really, really tough kids that buy into what the coaching staff says and what we set forth for them every day when it comes to tasks. They want to accomplish those tasks, and that's why we've had the success we've had. We don't go out there and out-talent people. We go out there and out-toughness people.
Yeah. Well, when you're a city with less than 30,000 people, like you don't out-talent people. Like you have to, if you punch above your weight, whether it's a business or whatever, like you've got to be clever and you've got to lean into a culture.
Oh yeah.
When you don't have the same kind of talent, right?
Yep.
And you double down on that. And I've seen your locker room. I did the tour of the locker room, and it was fantastic.
Oh, we're super lucky.
I could tell there's a history there. There's a purpose to what you're doing. When you think about your three pillars, your triangle, every one of those things that you mentioned sounds simple. They're also, every one of them, you unpack it, it's super difficult, right?
Yeah, it's really hard. You know, we've got our whole campaign going this June. It's on our social media. We post something every day. We talk about it pre-practice, after practice. I think it was yesterday's. We're on the simplicity part. This week is simplicity. And it was something along the lines of simple isn't easy, it's essential. You know, you think, well, let's be simple. It's not really easy to be simple. It's not, but it's essential to being successful. You have to be simple. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. It has to be simple for me to understand it. Like I have to get up super early, work out, and then go study film to be a really, really good coach. I just can't wake up and go do it. That's where the discipline comes in. That's where the consistency comes in. That's doing it every single day.
Where in your own coaching, your own journey, have you found like you've chosen to be simple rather than complicated? Like in your daily life?
And it's communication. That's what coaching is communication. And if you can't get it across to a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, you're being too complicated. It's too much. You know, you see these coaches with these big playbooks and all this. It's you get limited time with them. They're with you for 4 years. You might as well make it simple so they can enjoy it. And maybe they take that on and they make their life a little bit easier because they saw just how streamlined you were as a coach or as a teacher.
Yeah. When you're around these kids, like even off the football field, where do you see like the beauty in coaching is when you really believe in a core value and then you see kids make that choice outside the field, right?
Yeah.
Like what is that? Tell me what that looks like when a kid chooses to be simple rather than complex.
It really comes down to just accountability. You know, if you're doing too much, no one can count on you. And it just go to school, do the right things in the classroom, do the right things in the hallway, come out, bust your tail at practice, and go home and repeat. That's and the ones that do that really succeed for us. It's hard because sometimes at home, nothing's simple, nothing's disciplined, nothing's consistent.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when they come to us, that's the most consistent thing they see is those 11 coaches saying the same thing 2.5 hours a day and coming back and doing it again the very next day. That's a lot of time the most consistent thing in some of these kids' lives.
It sounds like the simplicity part is about teaching them how to say no to things.
Amen. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying no. Yeah. Nothing wrong at all.
The options that these kids have.
Yep.
I've had my third kid just finished high school. And man, by the time they're a senior, like their calendar looks like
Oh, yeah.
Fortune 500 CEO.
It does. Yep. It really does.
Some of it sounds like you're really intentional about getting them to focus in on what's most important rather than trying to do a bunch of things average.
Yeah. You can't be consistent. You can't be disciplined if all that's on your plate. You can't be consistent if all that's on your plate. You can't be simple if all that's on your plate.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean, that's really what we focus on. And they get tired of me saying it. And every time I talk to a newspaper, those words come out of my mouth. But you're starting to hear those kids say the same things. And we had a kid go in the Navy that graduated last year. And I guess he got a little phone time at boot camp. And he texted me. He's like, Coach, thank you so much. Thank you so much for teaching me discipline. Thank you for talking to us about consistency, because he's living that life now and he's succeeding in boot camp because of those things.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. That's 100% amazing.
And that's an extreme example, but all of them are living lives, and they're not as extreme as boot camp.
Exactly.
But they're trying to figure out a very difficult world, and probably all applying those values in some way.
I hope they are, and we hear them say that a lot of times, and you see them start to make decisions that fall in line with those pillars outside of football. We hold them super accountable in the hallways and in the classroom, and a big part of that discipline we steal from like Jocko Willink. Discipline is freedom. If you lose your discipline in the school, you lose your freedom of football, and that's part of saying no. You got to start taking things away so people realize, hey, discipline's the route I've got to take. And again, it's not a punishment. It's I've got to do the simple things, the easy things now to enjoy the success later.
I think a lot of parents don't do the discipline part because it's so freaking hard, right? Like disciplining and like the consistency that comes with that. But discipline is hard, man. Like you see a kid do it the wrong way. It's so much easier just to turn a blind eye.
It is.
It's exhausting, right?
And again, that's where our pillars come in. If we're in our triangle where that discipline meets that, or rather, you can't have your discipline without your consistency.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure.
If you're not consistent, then you're not disciplined. If you're not disciplined, you're not simple. If you're not simple, you can't be consistent. And that's the life we live in that locker room and in that stadium every single day at practice.
It's a commitment, man. Like consistency, discipline, simple words, but it takes and they're kids. Like they don't get it the first time. And I think that's what people that haven't coached don't realize, the repetition that it takes to turn a core value into like real habit changes.
It's not easy. And sometimes it's hard on a coach. Maybe we're not doing something well, let's add more. Adding more is never the answer. When it comes schematically and doing things, adding more is never the answer. That's why simplicity is inside of that, our cultural pillars. The more you add, the more confusion you have. And that can be in anything. The more rules you set, our standards will never change. Your expectations will never change. The more we add, the more likely they are to be inconsistent.
Yeah, it's better to go deep on a few things than wide on a lot of different things,
whole
right?
Practice one strike, 1,000 or 1,000 one time. It's that idea.
Is that how we end up with these elaborate playbooks? Is you don't run the 10 core plays well, so you start adding.
Yeah, and it's easy to do. Like I said, we're not super talented, but we got really tough kids that love the game, and we can be successful with that. You see other people do things where you play a team that does have more talent. You feel like you got to do more instead of kind of relying on what you do the best.
Is part of that getting them to believe those core values are more important than the talent?
Yeah. And we preach on it every single day. We preach on it every single day at practice. We talk about how much tougher we are than people, how much harder we work, all those things. And that comes into that discipline and simplicity. You can't work hard if you're not simple. You can't work hard if you're not disciplined.
Yeah. You've said we quite a few times. And I think the other thing with teaching in today's world is kids have such a short attention span. I think there was a time where someone could stand in front of the group and teach a core value. It doesn't work that way anymore, does it?
Nope. It does not. And the we is Tennessee High itself, with admin and teachers in the classroom. And it's all day. It's got to be all day. We offer decals that teachers can give to students to put on their helmets if they do well in class. The teacher can recommend a student for that. We want the teachers involved in what we do, because if they're not taking care of business in the classroom, we're not going to let them take care of business on the football field. They're there for school, and football is a freedom. So as much as we can get those teachers involved, the better they are in class, and the more support we have, and the more they actually love going out there on Friday night and playing for Tennessee High.
Yeah, man, I love that. And to be able to instill values, that's what you're talking about, right? It takes more than one person. Like it literally takes a village.
It does.
And people speak in the same language. But to get people speaking the language is not an easy thing too. Like in business, that's one of the hardest. It's one of the hardest things, right? Is just first having your values, having vocabulary around those values, and everyone speaking the same language, man. That takes years.
It does.
Tell me, like, when you started this project, how long have you been?
This is the start of my 4th year as the head coach.
So you've been here 4 years, and you look back 4 years. You had a vision for what you wanted this to be. How did you get the campus, like the community of Tennessee High, not just the football coaches? How did you do that? How did you get them to buy into this project?
You can't speak any other language. You know what I mean? Like the things that you do, you have to say those things every single day. And the most important part is you have to be those things. If I'm preaching discipline, simplicity, and consistency, I can't be undisciplined. I can't be complicated, and I can't be inconsistent. I mean, like I said a few minutes ago, I'm not a good enough coach to just wake up at 6:30, go teach, and then go, I'm there. I've got to do my lift early. I go over, I watch film, I get ready for practice. I go teach my 3 classes, and then we go right back out to the field. If they know I'm doing that every single day, then they start to understand why we asked them to do what we asked them to do in the classroom, in the weight room, on the practice field.
Yeah. That's another difference, I think, in today's kids. Like I think when I was a kid, a coach could have told me something and I would have believed it. We had a different sense of authority back then. Like if you had a title, you had authority, right? Like, yep. And if an authoritative figure said something, like you gave them the benefit of the doubt, you gave them respect. Mm-hmm. Now, those titles and authority don't carry, they don't carry that much weight. So if it's not, like if you don't do what you're saying, you don't have that credibility.
Exactly. Kids are great BS detectors. Like they're great at that. If you're doing that to a kid, they're going to know, so whatever you say, you have to be holding those values. You've got to be doing those things. Otherwise they're not going to listen to you, because there's so many more flashy things out there that catch their eye. I relate it to bass fishing. Usually that flashiest reel is what catches the biggest fish. But a lot of times the one that's going to catch the most fish is the one that looks the realest, the one that looks the most natural, the one that looks like it belongs.
Yeah. And that means you have to be true to yourself. You can't fake being someone else.
No, flashy's complicated. Flashy, it dulls,
Yeah.
Natural colors, stay the natural colors.
Yeah. When I was growing up, the stereotypical football coach was running up and down the sideline like a crazy person, throwing clipboards. And you're not like that.
No, you can't afford to be like that. That gets in the way. That's complicated. That's complex. That's not consistent. You can't be up and down like that. Now we got guys on the staff that are hype guys. Don't get me wrong. And the kids buy into that. They love that. But at the same time, they got to know where that baseline is and where to come right back down to. And that's kind of our job as a whole entire staff, is to have that variety of personalities that mash together. We just hired a couple coaches, and I told my guys, I was like, look, we're not looking for the best X's and O guys. We're worried about fit. Can you fit in what we do? We'll teach you the X's and O's. We'll teach you our vocabulary. We'll do that. But we want you to fit, and we want you to believe in the things that we believe in here to communicate to those kids.
What's the quality of someone that you bring into the organization that is prevalent, but it doesn't fit Tennessee High football?
Any kind of flash, any kind of bravado that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Again, if we had D1 talent, we could probably do those things. We could be a little more chest poked out, but your chest isn't going to be poked out all the time. You're going to take some beatings sometimes. Somebody's going to be better than you at some point. How do you handle that? That's ultimately what we're after. Those guys can say, okay, we're going to do what we do, and if we don't beat you, you're better than us. It happens. Teams are better than us. We're going to do what we do because we do it on Monday at practice, Tuesday at practice, Wednesday at practice, and Thursday at practice. If we can't beat you with that, you're better than us, and that's life. You're going to lose deals. You're going to not finish a project. Something's going to happen. You have to learn to deal with that. And it starts right there at football.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the things I think I most love about football is the game itself. There's a moment almost in every play where it's you against an opponent. There's this. It's a combat sport.
It is,
right?
Amen. You don't hear that much. People don't want to say that, but that's exactly what it is. It's a legal fight between the whistles. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then you stop and you go fight them again.
Yeah. And I can still remember playing high school football, and there's a moment, where fear is a thing, right? Everybody has it. There's always somebody going to be bigger than you and stronger than you. And there's that moment where you either shrink from that moment or you show some weakness. You get on your back foot, or you stick your chest out and pretend you believe in yourself, even if you don't. Yeah. But that moment, man, it's like it's a split second that determines either success or failure.
It is, and what I love the most about football is that's every day of the week. Yeah. And that's even in the off season. That's in the weight room.
Yeah.
You know what I love about the weight room is when you put 135 pounds on that bar, it's always 135 pounds. It's never taken a play off. That's why I want our kids to buy into that so bad, because every time you step in the weight room, the weights aren't going to lie to you. They're going to be that heavy every single time. And it's up to you to be disciplined enough to go in there and give your best, because that weight is always giving its best. It's always giving you maximum effort. That's why we preach the weight room, and that's what we start to preach at practice this time of year. It's terrible out there this morning. It's humid, it's hot, but for 5 yards, we got to win that 5-yard battle. We did Friday fives today. All they're doing is running 5 yards, but we do it all the way down the field and all the way back, 5 yards at a time, because that's how the game's got to be played. And those 5 yards aren't getting shorter; they're not getting longer. It's on how well you want to attack those 5 yards or that 135 pounds or whatever it may be in the weight room.
Culture, building the culture, maintaining culture, it's all hard.
It's a fight every single day.
Every single day. Like, people hear that and they think it's like a flippant phrase, like it's a fight every day. It is literally, you're like fighting gravity every day. And that's with adults. Kids, man, it just seems like it's even more of a daunting lift, because there's all of these. Man, all the stuff that's going on with a 16-year-old boy, right? Like, all of these factors, home life and relationships and self-doubt and overconfidence. Like, it's tough. It's tough, and you really have to battle. And that's where I feel like good leaders and good coaches are. They wake up every single day and they're ready to fight for what they believe in, whether it be fight, and I don't mean this physically fight. You fight your kids' decisions, you fight parents' decisions. Sometimes you got to fight administration decisions. Hey, that's not best for us. What can we do? It's a fight every single day, from the top to the bottom, and you've got to be willing to do that as a leader. Like, you got to know, okay, I'm in the front. I've got to fight this battle first, and if people see me doing it, I'm going to get more support. Yeah, and believing in something. That's another thing that's harder for kids, because they don't know themselves yet. Like, they don't really know what they believe. And so I think one of the great gifts that a high school coach can give them is like, I'm going to define these 3 things. Yep. Until you have your own ideas, like, these are valuable.
Oh yeah.
Let's learn these three simple things.
I agree to that. I mean, any job you go into, this is why I built the pillars the way I built them when I first interviewed for this job, and the coaching staff has bought into them. They believe them. They preach them. You can really relabel those 3 pillars however you want to, but any job you go into, they're all going to be the same.
Yeah.
Every job you have, you want to be as simple as it is. or as it can be. That way you can be as consistent as you can be to be successful. However, but that whole system is built that way they can take it and cuts and name each tip of that triangle whatever they want to name it and connect everything. It's just a clear vision of how things work, because right in the middle of that triangle, that's success. That's the triangle of success. That's how we get there, is being those things.
Yeah. And the cool thing about football is, like, there's a test. There's a test every Friday. You know, a lot of times core values are kind of nebulous. You know, they're not really tested in the real world. So it's tough. Like, you don't know if you're really disciplined. You don't. Right? The great thing about high school football is every Friday night there's a test, and you're going to either pass or you're going to fail.
Exactly. And whoever passes is probably the most disciplined team, the most simple team, and the most consistent team.
And that's what I was going to ask. So you feel like there is a correlation, because a lot of the stuff we do as coaches, I think a lot of the things that we care about don't necessarily translate into winning, right? They might translate into better humans, but maybe not winning on the field. But these three, you feel like, do translate into success.
They do. And a part of that is because football's different than every other sport. You practice 4 times more than you play your whole entire career. Because you're playing 1 day a week, but you're practicing every other day.
Yeah, like baseball guys are playing 10 times and practicing once.
Right. And that's the thing, and not putting anything down, saying one's better than the other, but you'll play 30 baseball games in a year.
Yeah. And
you'll have days off during the week. Not putting that down, but that's just how it's done. But football's different. Your whole entire football career, and let's just put it this way, not many go on past high school now. Yeah. Because of NIL, portal, and all that. You get 40 chances to play high school football in your life.
Wow.
That's it.
That is it.
That's all. And you're going to practice 4 times more than you actually play.
Probably not, as a freshman, you're not going to get 10 of those, right?
Maybe
you might get 20.
Very seldom we just graduated a guy not too long ago. He played 40 games, and that doesn't happen very often. He was very strong, very talented, very gifted as a freshman. He played a lot, but you don't see that very often. And that's something that's really hard to get across to these kids. And we tell them that every time we start camps, like, look, those gates right there, there's going to come a time where you walk out them and you're not a football player anymore. And you'll never play the game again. And, they'll talk about, well, I want to go, if they come to you, it's too hard, coach. I want to quit. I want to go work. I said, you can work the rest of your life. That's what you're going to do. You have to. But you only get 40 chances or 4 years to play high school football. I said, I'm not talking you into anything or talking you out anything. I just want you to think about that. Yeah. You can start working now or enjoy these 4 years of football. And they just don't see the finality of football.
Yeah. That's where the simplicity, that's where the saying no to other things is so important. It's so hard for them to do that on their own.
Yeah. I mean, we got to model it for them. We do.
Yeah. So I want to know, like, we're talking about a team. Like, you've got a lot of guys on a team, and you need most of them to be really good teammates, right? Like, that's the goal.
That's everything.
Like be disciplined, do your job, keep it simple, right? And be consistent. Like, that's what you need for most of your team.
Yeah.
But you don't win with just a team of teammates. You've got to have a few leaders.
You do.
In my experience, the difference between the highest performing teams have been a leader. If you're lucky, maybe 2 leaders, but you usually point to a leader that takes you to the next level. So I want to know more about how you develop the leaders, because that's a different animal, right?
It is. And I think this is how we see it, is our leaders 9 times out of 10, they're the ones that believe in that whole process over product thing. The leaders don't just shine on Friday nights. They shine at Monday at the lifting session, Tuesday at the work day of football practice, Wednesday when we're conditioning, Thursday at walkthrough, and then Friday they shine. You just don't get to Friday and become a leader. It happens all week. And they kind of pick themselves out on their own. They do exactly what they're asked, and other people kind of fall in line. We had a kid that had 180 carries last year. We hadn't had 180 carry back at Tennessee High in 15 years. We've always had a stable of backs, but this kid said, all right, give me the ball.
Yeah.
And we gave him the ball, and he became a leader just because he believed Monday, I'm going to bust my tail in the weight room. Tuesday, we're going to work really hard at practice because that's our work day. Wednesday, the same thing. Thursday, I'm going to be as sharp as I can in the walkthrough. And on top of all that, he's doing the right things in the classroom. He's doing the right things in the hallway. He's doing the right things in the community. So the time he wakes up to the time he lays his head on the pillow at night, he's doing the right things. That's how leaders are made, because people want to follow people like that.
Yeah. The natural leaders are they're typically born with something like that, but they have to be developed too.
Oh, they do.
Right? And I think that's the hard part. I think that's the hard part with education is there's so much focus put on getting everyone to a level of minimal success that we don't have the bandwidth or the priorities to really coach to the top of the group.
I would agree with that.
How do you man, like, you got to be intentional about it. How do you do that?
It's not the easiest thing in the world because the expectations we have for them at football practice is 100% effort. I know that's not possible, but that's our expectations. And I'm not saying anything bad about anything, but a passing grade is a 60%.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a dilemma there. You know what I mean? That means I can go into the classroom and stay eligible and do the right things and get 60. But how can you do that in the classroom? They come out and us expects you to give us 100% or your best out here at practice. That's where I have a really hard time understanding why kids struggle in the classroom. You know, I wake up, I do grade checks every Wednesday morning. And before the kids even get there, the teachers have emails in their box. Hey, so-and-so is struggling in your class. Is it a ability issue or is it an effort issue? 9 times out of 10, it comes back to effort.
Yeah.
So that distance in what we expect of them when it comes to effort and what the classroom expects of them, that's where we really struggle sometimes.
Expectations are important.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching has taught me so many things, but it's like one thing that I will go to the grave believing is that kids typically will meet wherever you set expectations. And if you set them high enough and you've got a good enough ecosystem and a good enough community, they will reach that expectation. But if you take the same kid and you lower that expectation, they'll meet that too.
Yep. And that's where we really struggle with that expectation and getting them where they got to be is that right there. Because as the day goes on, and that's, again, you can't be home. That's where it all ties together. Expectations at home may be here.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, we're trying to hold them here. So that middle ground is usually where they try to fall. But again, it's just this constant battle, constant fight to lead and make sure you're pushing them the right way. And I'm not saying you can't bend a standard because you can never straighten it back out, but you got to understand that, hey, what this standard means may be a little bit different for this kid than this kid.
Do you think as a culture as a whole that we have lowered expectations for kids?
Yeah, because it's easy. Nobody looks for the hard way anymore. Nobody looks for the right way anymore. They want the easiest way. Like we tell our kids all the time, like, you know, and we competed the other night in a 7-on-7, and we bust our kids' tails when it comes to conditioning. Just because, again, we're not the talent, we've got to be the toughest kids. Our kids can't come off the field. And where we were scrimmaging, those kids, they were gassed. They don't condition. They don't do that. They don't think it's important. They don't value that. You know what I'm saying there? So that it's hard to ask a kid to run 45-yard sprints. It's hard for them, for a coach to do that, because you want to be their friend. You want to be good to them. You want to make them like you. And it can't always be that. That's what leadership's about. You know, leadership's trying to bring everybody up to this level right here, no matter what. You don't bend a standard. You don't change things. You're as good as you can be to the kids, but at the same time, you can't be too friendly with them. If that kind of makes sense, you know, you can't be their best friend, because best friends never tell you no.
It's hard. Like those boundaries are tough. Like you're with these kids. Like, I mean, it's a fairly small school.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing them in the hallway. Like you're in their life.
Yep. I believe I counted the other day, and I think there were 43 days this year we didn't have a football function out of the whole entire year.
Wow.
Whether that be lifting or whatever it may be.
But you those boundaries are important because you feel you can't lead if you don't have those boundaries.
Exactly.
It's a hard thing to do.
It is.
I think culture's made it hard to keep those high expectations because I think we sometimes feel sorry for kids, and we talk a lot about, mental health. But I don't think the solution to mental health is lowering the expectations so that they can succeed.
It's not. Like lowering anything, any kind of standard or anything, you're never going to raise it back up. It's only going to go down. It's only going to go towards the negative. You can't, once you lower something, you can't pump air back into it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's impossible because now a standard's a standard for a reason.
Yeah.
It's the top. It's the max. But if you start taking stuff out that you can't stuff back into it.
Yeah. Tell me how that works. And because I think parents can learn so much from you. Man, it's tough, man. Parenting is so tough. And parents are tired. Like everybody's working hard. There's all this stress. And then to be disciplined and simple and consistent with your kids every day it is a burden to lift. Like it is exhausting.
It is. I've got two right now. They're both at the high school and they're both on the football team. And I've got an avenue through football where they know the expectations at home. And we all kind of see the same idea. But when it comes to the parent, and I'm not putting anybody down.
Yeah.
They're always going to kind of go towards what's the easiest.
Parents in general. You think that's a tendency of parents?
Because you love that kid. You know, it's a different relationship than we have with them as teachers or as coaches or friends or whatever.
Yeah.
There's that maternal, paternal connection there where you want your child to be better than you are, but so you want to make that as easy as possible. And that's not how you do it. Mm-hmm. You gotta make them struggle a little bit. Just a little bit. You just can't hand them everything. There's got to be some struggle there. They got to fall in love with boring things. They've got to, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be the same because the rest of their life, they're going to wake up, go to work, go home, wake up, go to work, go home. And I think we're always trying to fill the gaps in there, and life's not really that way.
Trying to make them happy and safe. And that's not the place. Happy and safe is not the place where boys become men.
And that's it. You can't hand them everything, expect them to earn anything. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So tell me what that looks like in the locker room. So locker room's important to you. Sounds like that's where a lot of that, they learn that discipline. Like most of these kids probably didn't have to clean up. They don't have to clean up after themselves. No. They're not doing somebody's doing their dishes. Somebody's probably doing their laundry. And here they're a freshman at Tennessee High, and they come in the locker room and they don't clean up after themselves.
Well, it's got to this point. It wasn't this way early, the first year or two, but it is now. I don't have to tell anybody how to fix their locker. Like the old heads, that's what we call them. They take the pups and they teach them how to fix their locker.
The old heads being 17-year-olds.
The old heads, the junior, the seniors and the juniors that have been there for a few years, and even the sophomores because they've been through it. They teach the pups how to take care. I don't tell them. I say, all right, old heads, take care of the pups. Make sure the locker room's good. Make sure the bathrooms are clean. Y'all get out of here. See you tomorrow. And it's done. But it wasn't easy. There were a lot of days that we started practice with some sort of repercussions because there was a water bottle left in the locker. Your shirt's on the wrong side. Your helmet's not in the center. The bottom of your locker's a mess. I mean, but they learn. You gotta. Again, it's like the reason we call them pups is how do you get a pup to listen? You got to beat it into shape. And we don't physically do it. You know what I mean? But they've got to learn.
There's accountability.
They have to be trained. And the best people to do that are those juniors and seniors, because when those guys are the leaders and they're holding people accountable, we're going to be pretty good.
And that happens. That happens when there's a culture, right? Like
there's an expectation, there's a standard, and then they know we're not going to lower it.
That doesn't just happen naturally, because in a lot of places the old heads are bearers of bad culture. Like they can get that's a double-edged sword.
We're fortunate to have the past 3 to 4 years, the leaders that we've put out really high character kids, and that makes our job as coaches way easier. We can focus on football side of it and not as much that, the locker room part of it, the culture part of it, the behavior part of it.
When you get a freshman in and you can tell this kid has leadership. This kid has leadership quality. You can tell, right?
Oh yeah, right off the bat.
How do you develop that kid? What do you do differently for that kid?
I don't do anything different.
Yeah.
It's those old heads. They take them right.
They recognize it too.
They see it. They see it, and you'll see. Yeah. And I'll go in and we'll release them. We'll put the water. We'll clean up. I'll start laundry and stuff, and then I'll go in and I'll usually start cutting up practice film. And you can kind of peek out in the locker room, and you'll see guys going around and checking lockers. That's what a leader does. And he doesn't come in the next day, hey, I picked the water bottle up. Hey, you left a water bottle in your locker. Hey, don't do that anymore. There'll be consequences for that. And the pups see the old heads do it, and they start to do that on their end of the locker room.
Yeah.
So it's kind of contagious. Leadership's contagious if it's done the right way.
Yeah. And there's a culture there. So you're not necessarily training those leaders. The previous leaders are training those.
They're going to listen to them before they listen to me, because they hear me say the same things every day.
Yeah. Repetition's powerful, man. You just never realize how many times you have to repeat something for it to become real. Take me to Friday night. There's not many of them, right? Like, these are like precious nights because there's so few, and you work all year for so few. And tell me, walk me through Fridays.
Just a typical Friday for us, we'll say it's a home game, which is a special thing where we're at, you know, and you get to play in that place and what the community does when they rally around it. But Friday's kind of it's that payday, if it makes sense. That's when you really find out if you're really working on the process, because the product will take care of itself. There's a buzz in the school, especially early in the year, and sometimes it depends on who you're playing. That buzz is there. There's some excitement there, like the Sullivan East game the past 2 years. We haven't played them, but there's a buzz because you go to church with some people at Sullivan East, or your cousins there, or whatever. Those rivalry games, there's a big buzz. We're excited about the Virginia High game coming back, the VT week. You've experienced some of those, but deal. Yeah, it's the buzz, I think, that you get all day, and that little bit of a butterfly. Did we go over that well enough, or are they prepared for this? And then it's just coming together to eat before the game and pre-game meetings and all that. It's total 100% focus as soon as that 2:30 bell rings on nothing but Viking football.
Let me hold up right there, because the opponent. How much time have you spent during the week preparing for a specific opponent versus just keeping the focus on you and your team?
Kind of typically how it works. Friday night, after our game that Friday, we'll trade film with our next opponent.
Yeah.
And our staff they work Friday to Friday. We take, Sunday to Friday. We take Saturday off, and then we come right back on Sunday and start prep. I'm over there super early. I'll lift super early, but I'm in the keep probably 15 hours that day preparing.
On Sunday.
Yeah. Just watching film, getting stuff ready, putting practice schedules together, going off what I saw off the last film, all that stuff. Coaches come in at 1. Offense usually finishes up a little earlier, because offensively, hey, we do what we do. We don't have to adjust anybody. We know how to attack this scheme defensively, We got our columns that we pull from, throw a script together, and we practice. Defensively, you've got to adjust because everybody's not the same. So defense usually spends a little more time, just because there's a requirement there. You have to find a way to make what you do stop somebody else instead of somebody else stopping what you do.
Yeah. So a good example would be last year, East had a really good quarterback. I was at that game.
Yep.
So you make that adjustment.
Yeah. We knew run game wasn't something that scared us. Okay, let's make sure we're solid on every pass concept that we see that they run X amount of times. And we felt good about that. We could recognize things. Hey, he's a little closer to the numbers here. Hey, he's a little further from the hash here. Expect this, expect that.
Yeah.
And really, that all boils down to simplicity too. We run 2 coverages. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Like you can't really have more than that. And we try to keep everything as simple as possible when it comes to that. But
you could coach 30 different coverages, but you choose to do 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
execution, right?
Exactly. We can't practice 6 or 7 coverages in a week.
Yeah.
Because come game time, the one that we may have not practiced the most, maybe that's what they're planning on doing to that formation, that set, that whatever. So if we simplify it and match what we do to what they do the best, we can always get pressure somehow and affect the quarterback or a run game or a run scheme.
Yeah. Yeah. But so defensively, you're spending a lot of time on the defensive side and the preparation.
Yeah, but I think it's just necessary because each week everybody has different schemes.
Yeah. So
you got to take your overarching idea, attack, and kind of mold it that week to what that opponent might do.
Yeah. So you also, I'm sure you have to be careful because the more you talk about the opponent, the less they're thinking about their agency. Like that's a fine it is.
Balance. It's a really fine line,
especially with high school kids.
Yep. And two, a lot of that, it comes back to being able to kind of reciprocate what they do at the speeds they do it, because we're running our ones with some scout team guys, some pups, and we're not as fast in that idea. Yeah. So there's a little bit of an adjustment period a lot of times in games. At first, it's a little faster than we expected. Okay, now we kind of settle in. I know if I see this, and we that's always how it goes. At first, we adjust and nothing's set in stone. And so we see what they're wanting to do. It's kind of, all right, now let's move you here, do this instead, look here first, those kinds of things.
Yeah. So back to game day, 2:30.
That's when it happens. They show up and we feed them, and we kind of give them some time to be kids. Yeah. Just because there's some pent up energy, and then as you get closer to that 7 or 7:30 kickoff, we start to kind of rein them in a little bit. Lights kind of go out. The locker room has just got a little quieter. The music needs to go down. Sit in your locker. Okay, get taped, get dressed. This group's meeting here. This group's meeting here. This group's meeting here. And there's that kind of, you go out for warm-ups and you get the buzz, you hear the DJ, the band's practicing, the cheerleaders run around. That's when it starts to really get amped up and you kind of feel it. That's what I love the most, is when they go back in there and you get to walk around the locker room and kind of look in their eyes a little bit. You just don't talk to them, just look at them. You can find out real quick how that game will start from that moment right there. If you just kind of walk in there and you look around and, okay, he's ready. What's he doing? You kind of get an idea there. You can kind of tell how things will go right there. And that's really my favorite part, because 100% of the time, that guy that led on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he's the one that's ready to go every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you come out, and for people that are listening that aren't familiar, like the Stone Castle is a pretty cool place.
It is.
And one of my some vivid memories from, I went to Sullivan Central and played against Tennessee High. And I remember two things. That away locker room before, I don't know what it's like since the remodel. You didn't show me that.
It's way better.
Okay.
It's way better.
Because I felt like you feel like you were in the dungeon, man, of the Coliseum being ready to fed to the lions. It's stone. It's cold. I think they probably broke the lights back then. So it is in the dark. So there was that. And Tennessee High was always better than us. So it was a tough environment. And then scoring a touchdown at Tennessee High in that castle was one of the coolest memories I have from high school.
It's a great place, and we're lucky to be able to do what we do. And a lot of that the castle kind of, in my mind and how I see football, that's Tennessee High football in a sense, because you think of rock, you think of tough, everlasting, not shiny. You don't have to wash it. It's always going to be there. That's Tennessee High football. The castle's physical. It's a physically dominating presence, and that's what, when Tennessee High is at its best, that's what we are. We're physical. We're not shiny. We're going to grind on you, and we're going to do it again and again and again, and it's going to last forever. That castle is the perfect representation of what Tennessee High football is. Yeah, that's why it means so much, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Is the correlation to what that castle is, the aesthetics of it, the feel of it, the touch of it, the roughness, the dirt, the grime. That's how Tennessee High plays football when they're successful. Yeah, it's consistent. It doesn't change. It's simple. It's a bunch of rocks stacked on each other, Yeah. It's imposing though, man. It is. It's great. All right, so you come out. You get started. You've got a, you're gonna get the ball or you're gonna kick off. You get the ball. Do you have plays? Yeah, our offensive coordinator, he usually scripts some stuff.
Okay.
And then we'll always tell the kid how we're starting. Sometimes we'll start in kind of a run it right at you mindset. Maybe we'll start off with a trick play, maybe a deep shot, just depending on what we see. And Coach Taylor Jesse does a great job getting the kids to kind of buy in offensively and understand, hey, we're going to run the football. That's what we're going to do. And everything else that is going to be set up off of that main run scheme. So if we take the ball, we've got some plan. We've got maybe he doesn't probably do 15. He probably has 5 or 6. And then we'll start to move formations, adjust out of that, and see how they're kind of trying to stop us defensively. If we're on defense first, there's always that kind of settling in period defensively. And Matt Chandler's the best when it comes to that. He's got an idea. He's got 2 plans that he goes in with. And as we kind of see what they're wanting to do to us, a lot of times he takes both of those plans and kind of mashes them together, and that's how we try to finish the game. He does a great job. We're so lucky to have the coaches that we have at Tennessee High. I think there's 6 former Viking football players on staff, including myself, and Coach Chandler's been there 25 years. Coach Shanks just got out, and Coach Dowdell just got out. They were there 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So I think at one point we had like 150 some years of experience on staff. So those coaches do a great job of when it comes to X's, and O's, and scheme. And I tell everybody, I don't have to deal with that a lot. Like I'm sweeping the floors, I'm doing laundry, I'm making practice schedules, and then we'll all sit down and talk about it, and that's that. They do a great job. We're lucky to have them.
I think people who haven't. All right, so I get really frustrated listening to like UT fans, and after the game they lose, and it's like, they should have ran it rather than passed it. Or they should have passed it instead of running it. It's like those are the only 2 options that a football coach has. And if you lose, it's like, he chose the wrong one. He should have ran instead of pass.
Yeah.
It's such a simplistic. If you've played the game of football,
it's not that easy.
There's so many moving parts.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I've coached soccer for my whole life. I've never coached football, but I played football, and like, I think coaching football is on game day has got to be one of the most difficult things to coach, because there's so many different moving parts. And as a coach, you do have a lot of control, and you got to figure that out how long's your play clock?
You get 40 seconds between.
So 40 seconds. Take me into those 40 seconds, because I think people think it's like you spend that 40 seconds deciding whether to run or pass, left or right. Yeah. That's it.
I mean, a lot of it, those 40 seconds, they get longer on Sundays, if that makes sense. The more prepared you are Sunday, the longer that 40 seconds feels, because you've got a pretty good plan of what they're going to do. Yeah. If we line up in this, they're going to give us this. If they line up in this, we're going to get this, however it may be. So that 40 seconds, even though it's just truly 40 seconds on a clock, it can be adjusted by how well you prepare.
Wow.
If that makes sense. If you're scrambling, 40 seconds goes by like 20. But if you're confident and you say, okay, they did this many times, here's our plan for that, it can be an eternity, because you feel confident and comfortable in your adjustments or your play calls.
Yeah. So take me into that 40 seconds. Like what's going on? What are the conversations?
Offensively, and this is me, if my mic's down, I'm not the guy that needs to be saying anything. My mic's up and I'm hearing the play call. That's all I do. I don't, they may ask me a question here or there, but my mic's up. By up, I mean off. It's up. You can't speak, and I just listen. If I feel like I need to interject or call a timeout, I'll do it right there. But I just listen. And that's all I want to do, if that makes sense. I don't need to be the one making the play calls. I can't do all that. I can't do it. And we've got great coaches that do that. But that's what we do. You'll hear the O-line, let's say offensively, you hear the O-line coach say something, maybe the running backs coach say something, and then Jesse, the OC, will say, okay, let's do this. He'll call the play, and then JB, Jordan Bright, will signal it in, and then there we go. And you'll hear Jesse say, okay, if they give us this is what we're going to do next. Or, hey, Coach Holt, what do you think? We get half this. We going for it? Those kind of things. That's what really happens in those 40 seconds right there, offensively. Defensively, it's very, very similar. You'll hear some adjustments. Hey, somebody up top say somebody didn't squeeze when the tackle blocked down. Yell at them, tell them to squeeze. Or, hey, get so-and-so out, tell them this. Send so-and-so in. Make sure you tell him the same thing before he goes in. So defensively, it's usually pull somebody out, talk to them, send them back in. But offensively, there's a lot of kind of planning that goes on within that 40 seconds before the next play.
Yeah, that's a lot going on.
It really is.
That's a lot in a short amount of time, and then you've got to communicate that to the kids and trust that they've prepared enough to be able to execute what you call.
That's where the simplicity and all of it comes from.
Yeah,
it's such a chaotic event, but it's kind of beautiful all at the same time, and like it's unique, and it's a different thing. You don't see it in any other sport. You know, there's even though there's a lull, there's not a lull.
So unique.
Yeah, there's not a lull because that intensity continues to build. Like we said it earlier, it's a fight every time the ball snapped to the whistle blows. All right, now let's stop the fight, go back, and let's come back and fight again. That's kind of the whole idea of football in my mind.
Yeah, and everybody can get everything right, and then your left guard doesn't pull.
Yeah. then nobody got anything right. Yep.
It looks like you're the dumbest person in Bristol, right? Yep. But nobody knows.
Yeah, that's the thing, offensively, and we see this. You get critiqued offensively a lot more than you do defensively. We always say this sometimes. It's like there's 2,000 offensive coordinators sitting behind
for sure.
And they care. That's why they're that way. And we're not putting anybody down when we say that, but that's how it is. Usually, everybody wants to talk offense. They don't want to talk defense.
Right, so. Right. So, you have that 40 second. You have that 40 second, really efficient conversation. You get the play in. Tell me about the quarterback. They've got a 3-5 step drop. We're talking about 4 seconds, 3 seconds.
Yeah,
depending on how good your line is.
Yeah, high school level, you're not seeing a lot of straight dropbacks that most of the time people are moving, or they're kind of RPO. They're reading. There's one guy that they read. You try to simplify the game the best you can, because at the high school level, you're not always getting the same quarterback. It's a different person. Somebody's a little bit smarter. They see things a little bit better. Their arm is stronger. The ball gets there quicker. So
injuries, you had a bunch of those last year.
So the more you simplify, especially the pass game, the more you simplify that and say, all right, if this guy goes this way, you throw it here. If this guy goes this way, you throw it here. And that's that. Like it's a lot. The games come to that,
Ooh, yeah.
Starts in college. College kind of feeds up and it feeds down. There's a lot more innovative minds at the college level because of what they can, what they get. Different players each year, so the game builds faster there than it does in the pros. But yeah, the less concept, you don't get these hardly. Here's my first read. Here's my second read. Here's my third read. Here's my fourth read. It's more like, all right, if the safety tries to get over the top of the fade into the boundary, throw the post behind him. That's the read anymore.
Okay.
It's an RPO mindset.
Yeah. So it's not three reads. It's a little bit simpler, but they've got to make that.
Yep.
They've got to be decisive.
Yep.
And to be decisive, you got to have confidence, right? You got to have the reps. And that's where what you're doing right now in July matters.
Yep. Yeah, that's all of it. That's where the simplicity and just do the same thing every single time. We know what to expect. We can adjust from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Most plays will work if they
execute.
Right?
They're all designed to score. Nobody's ever drawn up a play that's not designed to score. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, and that's kind of the beauty of football. It simulates life. That I think better than any other sport. The least little thing can go wrong, and you've got to start all over. That's life. There's so many moving parts in life that sometimes you don't even see it happen, but something hits you from behind or in the back of the head, and that's life.
You're in the military, so you probably lived that, like the adversity that you experienced there, and draw on some of those football experiences to get through.
Oh that. Yeah. That's what gets you through a lot of time when you're overseas. You start to think about Friday nights in the castle, like how cool that was, and that helps you get through some of those hard times and some of the stuff you deal with when you're doing the military thing. And it's always thinking about back to that, and that's really what it came back to me was Tennessee Iowa football every single time. I remember that time Coach Holt, that was his name when I was there. BW Holt was there. Man, Coach Holt really got us that day. We weren't being very disciplined. We weren't consistently practicing hard. And it kind of comes back to that, and that's ultimately what helped us build those cultural pillars were those experiences.
Yeah. Man, it's such a valuable thing, because high school boys, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. I think that's gotten hard. I think it's gotten a lot harder to be a high school boy in a lot of ways.
I agree with that.
A lot more entertainment options, but man, the pressure to be on all the time socially, like you're on stage all the time with all these, everybody's got a camera.
That's the truth.
Right? Like that just seems so exhausting. Like we were so stupid too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thought of,
I'm glad there wasn't cameras around
like,
when I was young.
Can you imagine like all of the energy it would have taken to like be on camera all the time and not, I would have embarrassed myself like every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree.
So it's hard. And so much of it's not meaningful. I had Sullivan East principal in here a couple of weeks ago, and he taught me a word I hadn't thought of. He said synthetic. There's so much in these kids' lives. There so many part of their relationship is synthetic. Yep. And the more I think about that, the more I think, man, he's onto something there. That's a great word, right?
Yep. It's yeah, that's it. That's it. You know, I was thinking, as you were saying, I was thinking shallow. You know,
yeah, that's a word I've used in the past.
It's just shallow. There's not much to it. It's always warm. It's always comfortable. That's how the shallow water is. It's where you want to be. There's no danger there. That's what they're after. They're after the ease, the knee high water is what they're after.
But it's not just shallow. It's shallow and it's synthetic. And so when you got like a meaningful thing for a high school boy that's not synthetic. And man, football's not synthetic, right? Like
there's nothing fake about it other than turf.
It's real. Like it's a microcosm of life. And man, to have the opportunity to use that to do something, teach them something bigger than football. Yep. It's a lot of responsibility, and it's just so rewarding and satisfying to see someone like yourself doing that.
Well, it's like I said, it's the mountaintop, and it's all I've ever really truly wanted to do. You know, I worked really hard to get back here. I've been a lot of places, and I think that's a great thing in my case, is being a lot of places. I feel like if you're at one place for a real long time, that's all you're ever going to see. I feel like, you know, I didn't have quite the blinders, because I've been on state semifinals teams, and I've also been on 0-10 teams. You know, we've not always been the most successful, but we've not always been the worst. So I think experiencing that whole range of success in football has helped me get to where I'm at today, and helped me build the ideas and the culture and the standards that we live through every single day. It's just how rich and plentiful those experiences are.
Yeah, having those experiences outside, I think it does two things for those of us from this area. Like it exposes us to new ideas we probably wouldn't have gotten. But it also makes us appreciate what we do have here.
Exactly. And I think a lot of times some of that's taken for granted and where we're at. You know, entitlement's huge right now across the board. Everybody feels like just because I've been there, I should be the next person at this spot or the next person at this spot. It's not that way, and life's not that way. You know, you don't always promote up just because you've been there the longest. You're going to get passed up sometimes because somebody's always better than you. And I really feel like ultimately, said and done, that's where football is different, is because somebody out there is always going to be better than you, whether they're on your own team or on the other team. And not only they're faster than you, stronger than you, they're probably better than you in the classroom. You see what I'm saying? Like somebody's always better, and football represents that every single play, every single week, even in practice.
Yeah, and going back to high school boys, like there's not many places in life where they get that.
Exactly.
Right? Like that.
Yeah. And too, like a false sense, and we've said bravado already, but courage. It's easy to be brave behind a phone or a keyboard or that. So you can't fake that in football. You can't be fake when somebody, you're lined up in an Oklahoma drill or you're lined up in a tackling drill. And that's what I love the most about football.
Dude, that courage. Like if I could point to one thing that football gave me in a way that other sports didn't, it's courage. I played cornerback, and you're out there by yourself a lot of times on an island, and it's just, at the end of the day, it's like are you courageous or not?
That's what I think the game teaches. And I'm not taking anything away from any other sport, but you just don't see that a lot in other sports. And at the same time, even though it's very selfish in that courage aspect, it's a total team sport. You know what I mean? Like we said earlier, one person can mess up or be afraid rather, and the play's a bust. So fear. I feel like if you can conquer your fear in football, you can conquer about any fear you're going to have in life.
Yeah. If you could tell parents something, what would it be? Parents that have their kids going through youth sports, maybe they're football, maybe they're something else, going through it for the first time. Like there's no manual. Like there are manuals, but they're out of date, like weekly. Like, what you gonna ask your parents how to parent through TikTok? Like,
I mean, I'm sure someone searched it.
The rules change every day. So it's probably the hardest thing any of us do is parent, and we're the least prepared, the least trained for it. What would you tell them?
I just say let them struggle. Let them struggle. Like let them struggle. Let them come home in tears. Let it happen. Like let it happen. There's nothing wrong with it. Let their coach say no. Like have them go talk to their coach about why they're not playing. Don't call the coach and ask them. And I'd say this in our parent meetings all the time. Like if your son wants to talk about playing time, he needs to come and do it, because you as a parent wouldn't have your mom call your boss and ask for a raise, right? Have those guys, let them struggle. Don't make everything so comfortable, because there's nothing comfortable about life. Comfort lasts that long. It's never permanent. Struggle's a lot more permanent than comfort is. That's what we see a lot when it comes to parents, is they want their kid to be comfortable, and football's not comfortable. And that's probably why I love it so much, is there's no comfort in it. You're gonna have that moment of joy, and it's gonna feel comfortable, but you're going right back to another fight. So that would be the one thing I could say to parents is let your kids struggle a little bit. Like don't give them everything. Make them earn something, or let them fight for something. Make them struggle a little bit.
Yeah. I could talk I could have this conversation for a lot longer. I know it's preseason and you got a big season to get ready for, so I'm going to let you go, but that's a good way to finish this, man, because I think that's some fantastic advice for
I appreciate
for
that.
parents.
I'm glad. I love sitting down and talking football with anybody, and especially Tennessee High football right here in Bristol. And we appreciate everything you've done for Bristol and in the high school. So we really do. I love doing it.
Yeah. Well, keep up the good work, man.
We'll do. I appreciate it.
Bristol's lucky to have you in that position.
Lucky to be here. I'll tell you that. Lucky to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.